all the big calls on all the big races. Welcome back. Oh, we're getting closer now, aren't we, to the big festival week? But there's a cracking weekend ahead. Sponsored by our sponsors, Bet365 up at Kelso. We'll be going to Doncaster. We'll be going to Newbury as well, in the company of some of the greatest minds out there. Welcome along, everyone. Dave Orton, thrilled to be with you somewhere in the capital on a Friday morning. The Racing Post flagship feature weekend show. Like, comment, subscribe and share. That's the drill. You can do that on YouTube, anything on Twitter, hashtag what a shout. Let's hear from you, your chance to get your voice heard. And we're going to give you all the biggest tips coming your way from the Racing Post of this weekend. Let's of course remind you there is a members club offer out there for you at the moment. I believe it is still, stay ahead of the field, 50% off your first 3 months. There you go, $19.98 only. If you've not got this, Keels, going into the festival. Paul Kealy joins me, by the way, guys. You're absolutely mad as a hatter, aren't you?
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, fantastic value. Get it on all sorts of different apps, your iPhone, your iPad. Brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's the picture of you? You've got to be on there somewhere.
Yeah.
Literally plastered all over the place, aren't you? Well, that's what everyone wants. You can get Paul's Sizzlers, of course, at 6 o'clock every night for that.
6 p.m. every night, yeah.
Digital edition at 9 p.m. And, of course, we've got an ultimate guide out this weekend as well for the Cheltenham Festival. Tom Park and Andrew Pennington put that together. All the great people are in there. You've been slaving away for that, haven't you?
Yeah. Had me putting up a tip for every race ages in advance.
Yeah, yours truly's in it as well. So go out there and get that. It's honestly masterpiece stuff out there. All right, okay. What have we got coming up for you on the show then? We're going to go basically 5 big race tips, basically. We will be at Newbury. We will be at Doncaster. And one man who will be making the trip across the border to the borders. It's Pat Cooney. Where are you, man?
Yes, I'm currently at home at the moment, and I'll be heading up the road to Kelso. It's about a 4-hour journey. But I was there last year and had a great old time. So good hospitality up there, great track, great people. So I can't wait.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Pat, absolutely. The bonus on offer in the Morebattle as well has become a really good race. Since they moved it to a handicap, we'll get all the tips for that. And we will go to a man who's got a runner in it. Well, leading owner Max McNeill joins us as well. Let's get on with it, shall we? Right then, so popular was his previous venture onto What a Shout. I'm delighted to say that leading owner Max McNeill joins us back on the show from his house. Max, are you there?
I am, Dave. Good to see you.
Oh, it's great to have you back on, Max. One of the most articulate speakers in the game, of course. You, everyone loved your previous appearance, Max, because I don't think you've actually got a leg in this horse, but Magical Zoe, people remember back in October, it was the cusp of the Down Royal meeting we had you on, and he said, oh, Adrian Heskin, of course, your retained jockey, goes over there. I think they quite like this horse of Henry de Promes, 18 to 1 on the Friday. Aye, that afternoon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I hope we all got weighed in. I mean, she is a lovely prospect. Goes for the Mayor's Novice at Cheltenham on the Thursday. Hasn't run since, as you know, and she's she's owned by a couple of great mates of mine, Paddy and Scott Bryceland, who also won 3 Cobb Bragg, which I think we'll talk about a bit later. But yeah, good luck to her. She's it's been a good story for them, and I really hope she wins.
Yeah, okay, all right, Max. So that's one that you're close to. Now, viewers out there, we've got Paul Kealy obviously with us as well. Keels, it's a nightmare to find out exactly how many horses Max has got in training. I went on to Raceform Interactive, and you start with the McNeill family, which is the famous colours. And then I count another 13 partnerships.
Well, that's what it's all about, though, isn't it? Horse ownership, isn't it? Owning horses with your mates and all that. It doesn't easy from a punter's point of view if you're trying to find them all. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's got to be fun owning horses with other people, isn't it?
Yeah, and he said we haven't got over the line yet at the Cheltenham Festival, Max. We've gone very close. You remember Walk On, of course, Keels. He was a favourite, wasn't he? Portrush, Ted, some others like that. So who is the big white hope the viewers will be asking then for Max McNeill going into this year's festival? Now, of course, you sponsor the Ultima. We'll get to that. But it's got to be 3 Card Bragg, hasn't it? The top novice. Looking at the Albert Bartlett?
Yeah, that would be the best chance if I had to, sort of lay a claim to it. He's got an entry for the Martin Pipe and 1 or 2 other handicaps. And funny enough, I was at this Cheltenham do last night in one of the Boodle shop there on Bond Street. And Ruby Walsh was there, and I was there in as a sort of capacity as a sponsor, really, for the Ultima, not as opposed to sort of an owner. And Ruby just came up to me, and I've known him now for a good few years, and especially with my daughter's interest in Chelsea thoroughbreds, and he knows all the guys there as well. So, he was saying that we should go for the boys race. He says he'll win. No, undoubted certainty. And that's we'll go for the Albert Bartlett. And he went, no, you've got to go for the Martin Pike. Well, I go for the Martin Pike, but we're going for the Albert Bartlett.
Right, okay, we've finally got that one sorted.
He's going to stay. I mean, he hasn't tried the trip, has he? But I mean, they was taken out of the Ballymore a while ago, wasn't he? And he's a half brother to Idle Talk, who was second in a Brown Advisory, fifth in a Cumure, ran in Grand Nationals.
Hemmings colours.
I can't remember the colours, but I just know
Tom
that.
George, I can't remember.
But
he's a proper stayer.
Yeah, proper stayer. He's got loads of other stayers in the family, so he's going to improve. What about the ground, Max?
Well, that's the question mark, Paul, isn't it? I mean, is we'd like it to be soft. We'd like, if you just said our ideal ground conditions, would have to definitely have soft in it, and no good, if you know what I mean. So, and I don't think it's going to be that. So that would be a slight question mark, undoubtedly. But I think it's going to be safe on Gold Cup Day. I'd like to think that it will be on the softer side of good, and we've got to take a chance. And I think that just sort of adds weight to the fact that we should go for the Albert Bartlett, because 2.5 miles on potentially good to soft ground isn't going to suit him either. So I think we've got to take a chance and just see how we get on. I mean, you were talking about Jerry Colomb there at Sandown and saying that he didn't want soft, good ground, and we thought the ground might be against him. Exactly the same sort of arguments, and he ran a blinder, didn't he?
Yeah,
so Ricard Bragg does the same.
Yeah, you've got a line on Jerry Colomb. Let's move on from that chat then. And again, Max, we wish you all the best. He's obviously got a live chance in that. Thunder Rock, one of a number of horses you've got with Ollie Murphy. Ollie's having a great season, isn't he? All the horses that look like they couldn't win, for example, like Itchy Feet, Thomas Darby. He's got them all over the line. He's got some crack novices going. And Thunder Rock is a very interesting horse. It almost looked like he didn't like Cheltenham in the Dipper, but he was flying up the hill. What's the plans for him?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a story behind that. I mean, we had him set we've got to medicate his back, and we had him set for Ascot on the 2 weeks before the Cheltenham race. And so he was probably up past his best at Cheltenham in terms of the medication wearing off and everything else we have to do. So that's why he found, I think, he didn't jump as well as he did previously when he did run at Ascot, in November there. So that was that. And then we felt the race wasn't run to suit at Sandown. We ran well. Again, we didn't jump as well as we'd have liked, but he still ran a cracker, to be honest. So, he's all set for the Brown Advisory. He's been backed a little bit. I think that's since Solo won there, who on Saturday he won really impressively at Kempton, beating a couple of good horses. And we beat him quite convincingly off levels by about 9 or 10 lengths. So, I think that, his price has come into sort of 12s to 14s from 20s. So I think people are starting to take notice. The two favourites for the race are Jerry Colomb, the horse I mentioned earlier, and, oh, God blimey, the one that beat us at...
the Real Whacker.
The Real Whacker, yeah. I keep calling him Mr. Whittaker for some reason, but the Real Whacker, yeah.
He's more resolute than that, old boy. I think you've got more to worry about with this chap, I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think we have, yeah. But, I mean, he's obviously a very good horse, but we ran them pretty close, and I think we're worthy contenders. I think we'll run in. He's got a really good each way chance. I think. And funny enough, he did a piece of work. Sorry, he did a piece of work this very morning, and obviously I'm a little bit worried when they go away. And he went to Kempton this morning, and did a cracking piece of work over 1.5 miles, and Ollie phoned me up, and I thought, well, what do you want? He just said how well he worked and how pleased he was, and now he's all set, for Cheltenham. It's
a good point, Kills, isn't it? If you're an owner like Max and you've got your horses in so many stables, when you see the phone ringing now,
the phone comes from a trainer. I mean, it could be anything, can't it? But you always fear the worst, don't you? I think.
Yeah, a horse that's not really come up to scratch. To people like my estimation this season, Max, is 3 under through 5. Of course, will go and try and win your sponsorship money back in the Ultima. Again, it's a classic example, isn't it, Max, of how difficult it is stepping out of novice company. We saw what happened in the Coral Gold Cup at Newbury. It's just been a case of building back with him, I guess.
Yeah, it is, and it's sickening really, because we had such a good prep for the Coral Gold Cup. That was his target since, well, I don't know, the Brown Advisory. Paul, the Brown Advisory last year. Paul just said, right, we'll train him for the Coral Gold Cup. He had a lovely prep run at Wetherby, and then it's one of these. You look forward to a race. For my first runner in the blooming race, you look forward to it for so long, and you get there with all the build-up. I was invited into the Royal Box, and they'd asked me to do a little bit of a talk about him. I thought, blimey, here we go. And he gets off, and he unseats at the first, and you're thinking, I mean, that's it. You sort of, your dreams are gone. And then we were struggling to find a race for him, and we ended up going to Warwick, and Paul just said, look, this ground is definitely not going to suit us, but we have to go. There's nowhere else to take him. It's ironic, we had such soft ground, if you remember, at Warwick that day. Seems such a long time ago, considering the ground that they're all running on now. So yeah, that was unfortunate, but he ran well there until he sort of just got tired, and it just, the ground went against us. So the second half of the season target rather, is the ultimate. So hopefully we can get past the first.
All of a sudden, Max, it's looking like we've got a few strong arrows. He is an interesting horse, if he gets into a rhythm up front, which we know he can do around there.
But he's won a couple of times on good ground around there as well, isn't he? So I mean, he will be better suited to better ground. Right,
Pat Cooney then from our sponsors. You've been listening to Max. He's one of the great talkers. Have you got prices for us on these horses? 3-Card Bragg in particular, I think, Pat, in the Albert Bartlett is one we're all hovering over now Max has spoken.
Yeah, he's currently 8-1, and that's there's a few Irish horses in front of him in the market. Hermes Allen of Paul Nicholls as well, but yeah, he currently sits there as an 8-1 chance.
Well, Hermes Allen ain't going to go for that, is he? I mean, unless
no.
We saw long pressed effect at last minute, so I'm not going to say anything about it. But in the waterside is also I'd like to talk to you about Max under the Nicholls tutelage. He looks like he could be pretty special going forward.
Oh, we love him. Yeah, he's ran twice this season, and actually he's the top-rated Racing Post rated horse in the UK. Obviously, that's before the two big festival bumpers, but nonetheless, he's a super horse. I think he would be our brightest prospect, I think, for next season in terms of novice hurdlers, and he's one that we're very excited about. I had a chat with Paul about it last week there at Kempton, and we all agreed that there's no point in going anywhere else with him. We're just going to sort of bring him down now. I give him a nice summer break, get the sun on his back, and look forward to him next season. The dream is very much alive. Oh, I
love that, Max. We're all nodding away in here when we're talking that. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do with him. A slow burner for Paul Nicholls I'd like to ask you about is Twin Power, and not necessarily Cheltenham, but the weekend before and what we know as Imperial Cup Day. There's an EBF final, isn't there? And this guy's finally showing what we hoped he might have in his locker, and I bet he's well handicapped, isn't he?
Yeah, he's well handicapped. I mean, he's so well handicapped he might not get in. That's the only concern there, Dave. I think where we are is, he was rated 113. He went to Sandown sort of a couple of weeks back and finished second to one of Gary Moore's horse, who I think they, sort of had well handicapped, if you know what I mean. And we got beat just on the line. And so he went up £6. I think he's 118. So he's right on the cusp there of getting in. But we're quite confident looking. He would have got in last year, but not the year before, or maybe back the other way around. And, he sort of got a 70% chance of getting in. Ian, my man, has just informed me we've probably got about a 70% chance of getting in. If he does, he'd be carrying a good weight, low weight. Adrian might have to go on a diet. And, I think he'll have a lot again. I think he'll have a bloody good chance in that. He runs well at Sandown.
Yeah, it might be a little boost just for Cheltenham there. He's an interesting horse going forward, that's for sure. I must be missing some horses here, mustn't I, Kills? What am I missing? There must be some.
I don't know, mate. I haven't got the list in front of me.
All right, well...
Maybe Max can tell us.
Yeah. What are we missing, Max?
Well, they've got Ascari at 10. He might go. He will go to the plate, all being well, of course, on Thursday. Just could try and over 2.5 miles. Ride him slightly differently to ride him slightly differently as opposed to sort of. He's been prominent with previous runs and just not quite got home, so he'll have a crack at that. It's difficult, you mentioned that I've got horses with good mates, which obviously I have, and they're keen to have runners at Cheltenham. Those would be the big four, the three we mentioned plus Ascaria. but we might have Persian Time going, having a crack at the Ballymore, for the simple reason that, you know, the ground at Cheltenham is going to be as good as anywhere. I mean, we saw the ground this week at various tracks at Wincanton. I was watching racing there the other day, and you know, it's bone hard. So, you know, Cheltenham have got the best facilities. They do it better. They can water. The ground is going to be as good as anywhere. So for that reason, it might be worth giving Persian Time a run, because where else is he going to go? You know, he's won a Class 2, so he's got to carry a stack of, you know, he's got to carry a penalty wherever he goes, really, if it's a lesser race. We can you know, have a run round at Cheltenham, and if he runs well, he can go to have a crack at Aintree. If not, we love the Air Meeting, and there's a race that, funny enough, Thunder Rock run last year, which we can have a go there. So I think he could have a go. You know, he could have a go as a big, you know, an outsider in the Ballymore, and potentially it's the same story for Fingal Bridge, and another nice bumper horse. He's rated 5th currently in the Racing Post bumper ratings in the UK, and you know, he'd want soft ground, but he's bursting for a run according to Wally. And, you know, why not give it a go there for the same reason?
Yeah, if you look at Max's, the McNeill family banner, he's got a 1 in 4 strike rate since he started owning horses in bumpers. Spartan Army, just before we move on to this runner's, this weekend's big hope, he won really well at Wetherby. We thought it would be a sort of egg and spoon race. It turned out to be that. He hasn't quite come up to expectations. You paid a fair few quid for him out of Joseph O'Brien's, didn't you? Is this a sort of, I don't know, is this another Grimetti in the making?
Well, possibly. I mean, yeah, Kingy loves the horse, first of all. And yeah, you know, that was an egg and spoon race, as it turned out at Wetherby. And it's a shame he won it, really, because he's lost his novice status for next season. But that's my dog, by the way.
Don't tell him about this one, Dave, the dog's
Somebody at the door.
So if she doesn't shut up, I'll go and get her. We haven't quite found the key to him yet. You know, he stayed on well at Kempton on Saturday, and he started off the race well, but the middle bit he just got outpaced. So we're going to try a few things with him. I think we're going to try and ride. When he was at Joseph's, the races he won, he was ridden prominently. So we might just try to do something different there. And we're going to try a little bit of different take a tongue tie off, which was on before, and one or two other things. But you know, I think we'll unlock the key with Spartan Army, maybe on the flat, as you said, as you sort of intimated there. But you know, I think we're going to go low, and we might end up at Ascot, because there's a really nice novice juvenile handicap at Ascot in their final jump speed in there. We might have a crack at that.
Isn't it great to hear, you know, these horses have got alternative targets as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair prize, that as well, isn't he? Hasn't Alan King won it before as well?
He probably, yeah. And Nichols usually runs something for Johnny Delahaye in memory and all that sort of stuff. Max, great to have you on, but let's concentrate on this weekend, if you don't mind, because Tritonic, who finally finds himself under a mark of 140, has a go at the Morebattle. Are we bonus hunting here?
Possibly. Well, not really, because would he go to Cheltenham? No, I don't think he would. I mean, it's a great prize, great race, great card, sponsored by Bet365, I think, isn't it? You know, and to be honest, it's a 100 grand race, and it's a good, strong field. I mean, Emmett Mullins has got, you know, obviously the favourite, and he looks a good horse, well handicapped. But as you said, Tritonic is now rated 137. He's not been running off anything less than sort of 142, 143. And he ran well at Newbury. I know he was 8th, but he ran a lot better. And, you know, I think he sort of seemed to be getting his mojo back. And he did a great piece of work with Edwardstone during the week, and looked in great form. And I have to be honest with you, you know, I think he'll, I'm not saying he's going to win, but I think he's going to run, you know, well. We're confident, and I think he'll finish in the 3. There you go.
Pat, what price currently for the Morebattle with yourselves?
Yeah, Tritonic, he's 25 to 1, and we're first 5 places on the race as we sponsor it, and there is only the 16, and I'm a bit like Max. I thought he ran with a lot of credit last time at Newbury, so from a handicapping point of view, if we get the good version of Tritonic, he's definitely each-way material.
Well, this is we could sit and listen to Max Racing. He mentions Edwardstone, he talks about pieces
Absolutely.
of work.
He knows more about racing than we do.
Never. Max, it's great to have you on. Thanks for coming. I mean, you mentioned Racing Post ratings, you mentioned Bet365 sponsors. There's this seat if you fancy it for you.
You do such a good job. Let me tell you, I couldn't get anywhere near it. But it's great to speak to you as always, Borge. Really is. Anytime.
Good stuff.
Brilliant. All the best.
Good
Let's
luck,
hope
mate.
you get over the line, Max, at Cheltenham Festival and for the rest of the jump season ahead. Max McNeill, everyone. Get your comments in below. Wasn't that great? Oh, that was great, wasn't it? Max McNeill. You do blow smoke when you get these people coming on and talking so well, but he genuinely is a very articulate guy, isn't he?
Absolutely, yeah, and very knowledgeable as well. He's really got a real passion for racing, hasn't he? And it shines through.
If he's going to have one at the festival, do you think it's the novice?
I think it could be, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that, you know, they took him out of the Ballymore a month ago. You know, right, we're going to run in the Brown Advisory. This is sort of Brown Advisory, the Albert Butler. This is where he's going to go. I mean, everything about him says he's going to relish a step up in trip. And, you know, if the ground's okay for him, he's going to be thereabouts, I think.
Let's just have a quick word with Kills about the weather, because over the years here on What a Shout, you have been our resident forecaster. I remember reading you in February, I think, in your weekender column, saying it was going to be like the Sahara. So are we now thinking there might be a little bit of juice around?
Well, no, we're just talking about snow. I mean, snow's, what's that? So it's about 10% of rain, isn't it? Whatever it falls into, so, you know, 10 mil of snow is like 1 mil of rain, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? So it's nothing, but it's going to be freezing. It was freezing down there a few years ago as well. I remember there was snow on the ground, you know, in and around the area. Yeah. And the weekend beforehand, and, you know, it's going to get very cold again.
Just as long as there's no high winds, please.
Oh, yeah, no, high winds, forget the high winds, but, you know, I'd like it to be warm one day when I'm there. It's bloody freezing always.
Well, you just don't know, do you? But look, it is slightly more encouraging if you're on a horse that wants a bit of juice. Let's find out what wants a sound surface, I think we can say, this weekend. And Pat, great day on Kelso. 9 terrestrial TV races, so many of them coming from your sponsored card. And the big one, I think we can say, is the 150. It's the Morebattle.
Yeah, absolutely. And delighted to get 16 runners, as I touched on, with first 5 places on the race. And there is that carrot, isn't there? If you win this and win any race at the festival, you get a 100 grand bonus. And Emmett Mullins, he did it with the Shunter 2 years ago. And he's got the favourite, McTeague, who is entered in 4 races at the festival as well. So plenty of options open for him. And he's currently favourite at 4-1. Of course, it's almost traditional now. If Emmett Mullins has a runner over here, you put it in as favourite. But the money is beginning to come for the horse. And he came over to England and won at Sedgefield on his debut. But he won a good race in France after that. You could say he's quite well handicapped. I'm not 100% sure of that. But what you do know is he's been mapped out for this race. And I'm sure he's got a leading chance in it. But it's an interesting market. There's 2 money more horses. Loda Sud of the Skeltons. That's been very popular. And he was 3rd the day after Boxing Day in December. And I thought the Skelton horses were a bit off that day. And that one ran with a great deal of credit. But the mover since the final decks have come out is Dear Mark, who gets in at number 13. For Sam Thomas, and he's been a popular horse. I was just watching his win at Kempton last time out, and he absolutely dotted up. And, you know, the public do latch on to Sam Thomas as a trainer, and I'm sure he's shortened up even further for the race. But it's a deep old race. Max has suggested Tritonic. Definitely from a first 5 place angle is interesting there. But McTeague is the one. If you're a fan of Emmett Mullins, the money is beginning to come for him. I'm sure he's going to be very popular. But as is Dear Mark, I think Dear Mark will be challenging him for favouritism.
Right, Pat Cooney's obviously read your column, but before we get to that, we've got business this weekend. Oh, I think not just Max McNeill that's hit the crossbar. All right, this is our weekend where we were over twist last year. We had, do you remember? We agreed. We thought we found one in this last year. Sandaroo, it was called. It found Cormier too good.
Oh, right.
Old price,
yeah,
wasn't it?
Found Cormier
for the Meniers and Isaac Sway.
Cormier, a Cliff horse of ours as well.
And in the Greatwood, Cliff, exactly, he reappears here. That would be egg on face. And in the Greatwood, we put up Tamarak Damathan. Do you remember?
Yeah, and got absolutely smashed by Pain the Dream.
Who reopposes in that as well? So there's the
Can you
thing.
remind me of something that went well, please?
So, well, I had Night Edition that finished second to the Shunter as well. So I'm definitely due a winner here. Have you found one?
I'm not sure. I do think that McTeague is the most baffling horse running anywhere. I mean, I could genuinely say this horse could go off 3-1 or he could go off 20-1. All right? If you remember that Emmett Mullins had the favourite for the Greatwood, 1,000 Tears.
Oh, massive drifter on the
4-1
day.
in the morning, went off 18s and miles bigger on the exchanges. And McTeague, he's been beaten 100 plus lengths on his last 2 starts, aggregate. But on official ratings, his Irish handicap mark makes him the 3rd highest rated juvenile in Britain or Ireland.
142.
All right. No, that's his British handicap mark.
What's his
Irish
Irish
handicap mark? Is 136. But that still makes him the 3rd highest rated juvenile in Britain or Ireland. Yet he's 100 to 1 for the Triumph when apparently officially only Blood Destiny and Lossiemouth are better than him.
Well, I heard you went to a preview last night and said this, and I think that's all gone now,
Yeah,
Kills,
it's not. It's still there. It's still.
Is that right?
I just had a look. It's with Bet365 as well. Well, it might not be by the time you're watching it. But it's also 4 to 1 for a 100 grand all-age handicap hurdle with the BHA handicapper having put another £6 on him.
You just don't know what to do with this bloke, do you?
You know, if he wins, he will, at least until the Triumph, almost certainly be officially the best juvenile around. I can't really buy that. I know he won his Grade 2 in Ireland, but again, if you're going to try and get a horse handicapped, why are you winning Grade 2s? Sorry, Grade 2 in Ireland, France. Why are you winning Grade 2s beforehand? You know, I think he's got a horrific handicap mark. I would leave him alone here, but I couldn't blame anyone for backing him non-runner, no bet for everything.
But he's got to be here for one reason. He's got 3 runners on the card.
Well, he's got a 100 grand bonus. He's in the Boodles. He's got 11 stone 12 in the Boodles.
Yeah.
All right, you pick up a £4 penalty for winning this, but the conditions of the Boodles, so you can't carry more than 11 stone 12.
Yes.
So he doesn't get a penalty if he wins that. He's 14 for that, I think.
What else is he in? Let's have a look.
He's 14 for the Boodles.
He's in the Coral. He's in the Triumph and the Martin Pipe.
If he wins the Boodles, you'll do well to get 3 to 1. If he wins this, you'll do well to get 3 to 1 for the Boodles. And if he doesn't win, he probably won't run.
Yeah, all right.
It's NRMB.
So he's a head scratcher. We had this with Farley Bay, though, didn't we, in the Betfair hurdle as well? He ran really well.
Yeah, but Farley Bay just looked like he had more potential to be well handicapped. This is hard. There hasn't been a 4-year-old winner. There hasn't been a 4-year-old win a handicap off that sort of rating in the first 9 months of the year for at least 15 years.
I'm glad that you brought notice to this, because the 4-year-old has placed in this race before, but not when it was a handicap. It's only been a handicap for those of you that don't know for the last 2 years.
Yeah, but it's not just a 4-year-old, it's 4-year-old off that higher rating.
Yeah, sure.
Well. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it's very hard. So I think it'll drift. I'd take him on. I put up Load of Sad earlier in the week. I thought he looked, I thought he'd been eye-catching both starts for Dan Skelton, who had Favois finish 3rd in this race for the last 2 seasons. So I think he's probably been earmarked for it. But I've come round to one at a bigger price now. Luttrell Lad, ex-Philip Hobbs, has moved to Tom Lacey. And
I know a lot about this bloke.
He was a decent, he's a decent on and off horse who's been sort of disappointing and a bit of a letdown. But, he was 4th to Nappers Hill in the Grade 2 bumper at Aintree, where he had, I think Stage Star was 3rd, Balco Coastal was 7th.
Yeah. He
was 2nd to Campron in the Persian War last season when First Street was behind him. He got some decent form.
He's
but
a
he
very
never holds
keen
it.
horse in his early years.
But he never holds it. He does, however, go extremely well fresh. I think he's only been beaten once when he's returned from the track from a break of 70 days or more, 10 weeks or more. And, a handicap mark of 131 looks fair to me.
He won his bumper at Taunton, I think, this week, a couple of years ago.
Very solid bumper form.
Okay, well, I wonder whether you were going to say my one. I've come down to our old friend Benson, who's one of 2 runners for the owner, but this guy is trained by Sandy Thompson. He's not long been with Sandy Thompson, and he finally got a deserved win for Sandy. He's still well handicapped on his old form. This probably has been the plan, and I don't mind him on the ground actually either. I thought he might have been a slow gun.
Did he go off in front last time?
That's a good question.
I can't remember. My worry about him in the big field is if he's not.
Let's have a look. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I know he has to.
No. My worry about him in the big field is that he will make mistakes. So going off in front might be a good idea.
Do you remember when he used to run in those very good handicaps at Sandown and Ascot for Dr. Richard Noonan? He used to hit a flat spot and come from nowhere, didn't he?
Yeah.
Going for the front was interesting anyway. All right, he's a very interesting horse. That is the Morebattle. We're taking on the Fav, basically. Who knows what we'll do with McTeague? We will talk about another Emmett runner a little bit later on. We must go to the 225 though, Pat, because it's Grade 2 novice time.
Yeah, and deja vu here, really. We've got an Emmett Mullins horse as favourite. Ferronelli is the name of the horse. Ran to a good level of form, both runs over hurdles.
Bumpers, Pat.
Yeah, not doesn't jump off the page at me, really. Again, defensively priced up because of the connections. As you touched on, Emmett's got 3 runners on the card, the shunter to follow. So we're just bracing ourselves for potentially doubles and trebles and so forth. But this is a deep old race. Again, a good quality field in the race. Nemean Lion, I think, is interesting from Kerry Lee. And this is owned by one of our directors whose ambition in life, or one of his ambitions, is to win a race that the company sponsors. So he would have been mapped out for this race as well. He's not managed it yet, but this horse is a perfectly viable winner of the race, I think. The money horse of the race has been Colonel Harry. who was behind Nemy Lion at Sandown last time out. And perhaps Colonel Harry, he might be better off going left-handed, so there's been money for him. I see wisdom in that. Ho Jolie Smoke of the Skeltons has been popular each way. So there's lots of money around for the non-Emmett Mullins horse in the race. So this is a vibrant betting market, this one. But I thought Nemy Lion, I thought he was very impressive on his hurdling debut at Hereford. And I'm going to keep the faith with him and hopefully present the trophy to our director.
Thanks, then, Pat. All right, okay, company man as ever. We put this up, didn't we? Or you put this up when it ran last time. This race, I'm not sure would it be soft enough for Nemy Lion. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, it was good to soft in places. I don't think it's going to be bottomless.
It's not. No, it's not going to be bottomless. I think he wants to juice.
Oh yeah, no, he wants to. He wants to juice. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be bottomless, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be that quick, and I don't think he needs it. You got to remember, winter ground is. Winter good to soft would be summer soft. Like, if you're talking about his flat performances,
fair enough.
Yeah, but that wouldn't bother me in the slightest. I think he'd be fine. Very hard to know. Again, with the Mullins thing, Ferranelli yet to run in a hurdle race. That was a good bumper, obviously, because the bumper he ran in a Leopardstown, that has produced the first or second in the champion bumper for the last 4 years, and a share to dream.
A dream to share.
is second favourite, I think.
I'm all over him for that bumper.
I
very rarely have a bet in a bumper.
If I was going to have a bet in that bumper, I would be backing him. Yeah. So it is very good form, and it may be a different level to these. But I do like Nemy Lion, and I think I'll probably end up backing him.
I'm going to be with Colonel Harry. I like this chap. We spoke to Jamie Snowden when we had him on the show a couple of months ago, or maybe I think it was this year, wasn't it? And he said that this guy, he ran himself into the ground when he was in the tow, I think it was, wasn't it? And he went up to Newcastle last time and made, to the eye, very, very good weather of beating a horse of the Hamiltons at long odds on. But that horse has since scooted up here at Kelso, and I think he'll love this hill, and he's a lovely horse in the making, this chap. He will do for me. Right, do we go down now, Pat? Is it Greatwood time?
I think it is, indeed, yes. So in that intriguing race, Zanza is entered in a race at Kelso as well, so hopefully Philip Hobbs will have made his mind up by now. Of course, he is pretty much the king of Newbury, isn't he? He always runs very well there, but the handicapper didn't miss him after his win in a non-handicap last time out. So it's an intriguing race. You've got exposed horses, Paint the Dream and so forth. I keep looking at Sebastopol. Tom Lacey could have a good day, couldn't he? This fella beat Stage Star last time. It was a 4-runner race. Stage Star was massive odds-on favourite. Sebastopol gave him weight and he beat him. Now, I get it wasn't the proper Stage Star we saw, and of course he's shown his true stuff in his next 2 races, which he's won impressively. But nevertheless, it did happen, and I think 6-1 is quite fair for Sebastopol, just purely working on the basis that, well, there must be some degree of merit in that performance last time out, and I think many of us have just dismissed it as a fluke. So Sebastopol and Tom Lacey for me. It
is a real interesting puzzle here. The first thing to say, Kills, it looks like Mr. Newbury is going to Newbury Zanza, doesn't he?
Yeah, it is second preference, Kelso.
He's vying for how much do I love Newbury with another horse here.
Yes, exactly. They're both Mr. Newburys, aren't they? Paint the Dream, who won the race last year. He's £11 higher now, but he's only £3 higher than winning by 14 lengths. I mean, it's quite amazing. They're both 9. They're both rated 158. They both won 3 out of 3 over fences. Paint the Dream by 36.5 lengths aggregate. Zanza by 34.5 lengths aggregate. I mean, they couldn't get closer matched, could you? They are now obviously handicapped up to the hilt. You certainly wouldn't consider backing them off those sort of ratings anywhere else. I've taken a chance. I've backed the 2 rags.
Have you?
I have, yeah. I backed the Big Bite, who goes in first-time cheek pieces. Now, last year, after a mid-season break last year, he came back on better ground and ran second to Fanambule Civiler at Doncaster, who then went on to win the Game Spirit and won second in the championship.
Yep.
He's £9 lower than that now. He's £11 lower than when he was a close third in this race 2 years ago. And I just thought a big price. I've got to remember there's extra places here. Each way the first 3 with 7 runners. Bet365 doing that as well.
Led the initiative over the last season or so.
So I've backed him, and Paul Nicholls has won this race 9 times, and he's got Espoir de Guy as his sole representative. Now, for all we know, this is just a mudlark. So it's very interesting that Paul's going to run him It'll be heavily watered ground for sure, because they've been allowed to water in earnest since Wednesday, and they've been slinging it down at 10 mil a day, I think.
Yeah.
He's joined for Venetia Williams having completely lost his form, and he's had his 4th wind operation.
It's not the only one next to his name I was going to say. He's got Paul Nicholls 1, Windop 1.
Windop 1,
and that would maybe lean you to why they're running on this sort of ground.
His form figures after a wind operation are 2-1-1. The 2 wins came off marks of 144 and 145. He's off 144 now. And they all came after a break. So here he is after a break, after a wind up, on a mark of 144 in a race that Paul Nicholls has won 10 times.
You're an infuriatingly convincing man.
And he's 14-1, so I've taken a chance.
All right, well, you can see it. A reminder, this is the Paul Nicholls benefit race, and we've got a stable tour. We went down and visited Ditchy. Thankfully, Paul let us in at the start of the week. You can see that on our YouTube channel later this afternoon. We've had Nicky Henderson. We're going to have the champion trainer for you, and there are some really interesting pearls in there as well. I am going to stick with a project. Viewers might remember I net Gemerond on, and I'll tell you what, if it's neck and neck with Venetia and Paul, Venetia's going to be screaming this one over, isn't she?
Oh, without a shadow.
He loves the ground. His Sandown form when the ground was against him worked out really, really well. Warlord he beat last time. It was an interesting horse, and I think Warlord is coming back to form. I've got him penciled down for a decent handicap for the end of the season. He was going to run in this. They've decided not to on account of the ground. My only worry is that someone might take him on, and he does seem like a horse that likes to get on with it. I don't want to pace battle, please, Charlie Deutsch, but I will give him the chance as well. I mean, if Zanza can win a Denman chase, around Newbury, he could probably win the Grand National if it was there as well. So you can't discount him at all, can you? All right, that is the Greatwood Gold Cup, one of the feature races of the weekend. Grimthorpe Chase now at Pat. Another race that's cut up again because of the ground. This has happened over the years. We've got last year's winner in it under supervision. What do you like?
Yeah, well, our favourite for the race is Cooper's Cross, who wore cheek pieces for the first time when winning course and distance last time out, beating Captain Ord. So that form got a boost. Will cheek pieces work for a second time? Maybe, maybe not. But that's why he's favourite in the market at the moment. Second fav is Does He Know of Kim Bailey. Slight worry with this fella. He's got 12 stone to carry. And although the horse carried 12 stone to victory at Cheltenham earlier on in the year, Kim Bailey said after the race he's not very big to be carrying 12 stones. So that'd be a slight negative. The money horse has been last year's winner under supervision, who did win this off a 132. Guess what? He's off 132 on Saturday. So I see wisdom in him. Is it wrong to fancy Sporting John? I've been trying not to fancy him since the final decks came out. But he's such a good horse, isn't he? He's got blinkers on for the first time. Not sure if that's a good idea over 3¼ miles. He's off 141. He's just too good to go off at that price, I think. And yeah, I could stand for any eventuality with him. He has been certainly in the disappointing section of the room. But I just think 8-1. I could land on him by elimination, really, not because I didn't fancy anything at the top of the market.
All right, okay, thanks, Pat. We've got some old friends in here, haven't we? Of course, Sporting John being one of them, whether you're a friend or foe at the moment, I don't know. But they reach for the blinkers, and yeah, last chance. Neville's Cross, he's a bit disappointing, I suppose, this season. Does he know? Come back to form this season. It was Zanza form last time.
I like Does He Know. I don't think he's at all disgraced to get beat by the Zanza. He wasn't far off Hitman. We know what Zanza's like round there. And Handicap actually dropped him £1. I thought that was very generous. I think we had it down as a career best. So
beat about 8 lengths, wasn't he?
Yeah, we've had it down as an improvement, and the Handicap has said no. We'll give you £1 back. Okay. And he has won. You can win under 12 stone at Cheltenham. You can win under 12 stone at Doncaster as well. He's obviously got a little bit of a higher mark. I think it's £5, but yeah, I think he's a tough and game horse, and yeah, I think he's the one to beat myself.
I like Cooper's Cross. I'm a fan of his.
Oh, it's hard not to.
Yeah, and that form obviously has been advertised. I think forget Captain Orr at Kempton. That just came a bit too soon for him probably. But the Captain Orr at Ascot form gives it a right old chance. And obviously Garlaw was up there with him as well. Classy horse. Looks like he might even go to the Gold Cup, doesn't it? He's got to stretch out in trip here, but I like the setup of the race for him. And again, I think he'd just probably win. What price Coopers did you say, Pat? 5 to 2-ish?
Yeah, currently 5-2 as we speak, yeah.
All right, okay.
I think they're the right two at the head of the market.
Yeah, Castle Robin is a nice horse, but he's got to step up again. Under supervision last year's winner. I mean, if he comes back, that's egg on my face. I've tipped him every single time he runs this season. You know what to do with that. Let's go back up to Kelso then for the final races. The Premier Chase, been one with some really good horses over the years. How does this year's field shape up with Bet365, Pat Cooney?
Well, we've got Zanzar currently priced around about 5-2. He's, as we've touched on, he's more likely to be Newbury bound. So I'll work on the basis that he won't run. Current favourite for the race is Lamilos, who won the big race at Newbury back in November. We've not seen him since. He's got Grand National aspirations. But level on official ratings with him on these terms is the Shunter. Both are rated at 152. The Shunter's been a mixed bag of form, really, with him, isn't it? So the jury's out a little bit on him. I can say Empire Steel has been popular at fancy prices. He was 16-1, now 8-1. I am a fan of the horse, and he has got form over the course and distance, so maybe he has some sort of a chance. But it'll be a fair run race, wishing and hoping. We know he'll be bowling along in front. I wouldn't be surprised if the Shunter returned to form here. He was good here 2 years ago when he won. So maybe a bit of Kelso air might do him the power of good. But I can stand for any result here. And Empire Steel, I suppose at double-figure prices, wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world. Thanks to the late Trevor Hemmings, Kills. This race became a real pointer for the Grand National, didn't it? Of course, many clouds took him before he went for his second one. He flopped. But Cloth Cap, of course, he was a career best for. He flopped. We've got Lamilos, who looks like he's going there. The Shunter, who looks like he's going there.
Isn't this a qualifying run for the Shunter? Doesn't he?
He needs it, yeah. But
so
you can't get a penalty now, can you?
No, exactly.
He's going to get in the race off a mark.
He's going to get in the race. I mean, he hasn't got a prayer of staying 4 miles and a bit, is he? Really? I wouldn't have thought.
I think he's a very interesting horse here.
I think just straightforward for Lamilos.
He got the course form, hasn't he? Which I must admit, I was looking at his profile and I forgot that he ran there a lot for Tim Bull. Is it 133? He's got the course, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he goes well enough there. I mean, he's obviously improved since he joined Dan Skelton. And you know, you come here, you've won the Coral Gold Cup at Newbury. Yeah, it's an obvious place to go. He's not going to. You know, he's not going to go up in the weights afterwards. I think it's just a perfect stepping stone to entry for him.
He showed at Newbury that he didn't need that hock sort of deep ground that they were maybe thinking he might have inherited a mudlark, and it proved he didn't.
I mean, it was pretty fast at Newbury.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It'll be softer up there, and he'll still appreciate it more.
He gets £5 the Shunter from Lamilos. They're rated identically.
I know.
Pat, what price for the Grand National, please?
Okay, the Shunter is currently 33-1 for the Grand National. Lamilos is 2020. So, yeah, a resurgent run from the Shunter will see him probably halve in price, but stamina still to prove.
Do you know what? I think this is going to win. I've been looking at this horse, and he's not won over jumps yet for JP. But if he had have jumped at Aintree when JP had him in his first silks, he would have beaten Protectorat. And that form at Aintree, there is a case to say he could be rather well treated in the Grand National.
Well, it's getting old. It's becoming old form though, isn't it? And it's form at 2.5 miles. Well, you know.
Hey, hang on a minute. You're Mr. Back Class. You're not having a go at me for putting something up with a bit of back form.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go back to the 1980s when people always said you wanted a 2.5 miler to win a national.
If you watch him last time at Naas, it just all he does is stay. His Galway form, when he was 8th behind.
Last time at Naas was 2 miles.
Yeah, but
you've got to do that twice.
Look, he was running on at the end of a Galway plate. He stays. There's no doubt in that.
Oh, okay.
And I've seen. I think this is the Emmett Mullins run tomorrow. Fair enough. You want to be with?
Well, Emmett Mullins is far shrewder than I'll ever be, so you might be right, but I'm not having it.
I'll give him a run for his money. All right, okay. There are your big brace previews. Who's right, me or Keels? I think I know what you're going to say. Down below. Right, nap time. We're finally here, guys. Find out what our best bets are this weekend. But if you want to get involved, go to the Racing Post /free bets. This is a recent initiative here. There's a lot of free bets available to you, including with our sponsors, Bet365. Get involved if you haven't already done so. You're looking at a gift horse in the mouth there, I think, if you don't. Right, nap time. I'm going to infuriate you.
Go on.
It's the Shunter for Dave Orton.
That sounded ridiculous.
Yes, come on, Keels.
You're not even trying.
Oh, I've tried, trust me.
There's a seniors handicap hurdle at Newbury. Restricted to horses age 8. So
now you're showing off.
Well, now you think they're all going to be exposed. There's a horse in there that's a 10-1 shot called Give Me a Moment.
So it's a veterans hurdle race?
A veterans hurdle race, trained by Richard Bandy. Now, he placed it really, really well. He won 6 of his last 9 starts, 4 of them over fences, then went Then went in the summer and won 2 Mickey Mouse Novice Hurdles in a canter. And he went wrong on his first handicap hurdle and pulled up. Lost his action. We haven't seen him since, but he has gone well fresh. His hurdles mark is £10 lower than his chase mark, and he is unexposed in an oldies race. So I think I'll give him a shot.
You found one. All right, okay. And he's told us. What about you, Pat Cooney? Dare say you're going to Maidan, are you?
No. Kelso, the lucky last, the 4:45, and it's number 6, Gandy Maker, trained by Stuart Coulthard, who trains just down the road from the racetrack. And this trainer won this particular race last year, so I would imagine he's been mapped out for this. And Gandy Maker's been quite impressive his last 2 runs. He's dropped down to this 2 miles, 1 furlong trip to win impressively each time his last 2 runs. He was tried over further. He likes to go from the front. I think now they found the trip for him and the way to ride him, and they won the race last year. So it all points to a mighty run from the Gandy Maker in the lucky last at Kelso.
You have been told by the great man, if you're lucky enough to be there, go and watch the race with him. He'll love that. All right, there are your naps. Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for on this week's What a Shout. It's been great to have you with us. It's been great to have Paul Kealy back with us.
Yep, I enjoyed it.
But this is going to be the start of something beautiful, because a reminder for the viewers, and actually, this is probably breaking it, actually. We're not next morning, are we? Next week. We are.
No, we're in the evening.
Live
at
6 p.m. Paul Kealy will be sitting right there. Pat Cooney will be back with us as well, Pat. We're going to do What a Shout live.
Absolutely, yeah, live and kicking. Yeah, can't wait. So head down, study all the Cheltenham races, and hopefully come up with a few gems.
Yeah, we've got a couple of curveballs coming your way. Don't worry about that. We're going to treat it slightly differently to the other previews out there. You can interact with us, get all your questions in, and we'll be beaming into Dublin as well, because never mind about Paul Nichols meets Johnny Denise. Paul Kealy meets Johnny Denise.
Yeah,
as well.
I'm looking forward to meeting Johnny.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun with that, aren't we?
Sounds like a great character. Yeah. I'm going to be doing a few preview nights as well, so we'll be able to report on any snippets of info that we get from Tuesday to Thursday.
Happy days.
So we'll see.
Yeah, great stuff. So join us for that. Like I say, fantastic to have you with us, as it was Max McNeill as well. Show Max some love by liking and subscribing this show. Don't forget to gamble responsibly this weekend, guys. Cheltenham Festival is on the horizon. But yeah, everywhere you look, puzzles are there to be solved. No chasing. Don't forget, of course, to download the free must-have Racing Post app. You can do that on the App Store or the Google Play Store. Here it is. The world's #1 racing app. Just a reminder, it got better. We're going to be building on it as it goes further and further in 2023. I bet you love doing that advert, don't you? God. The great thing is, usually when people do this advert, Kills, they sort of like, you know, look at Tasha there, you know, they get the game face on. You just turned up and had a moan about which camera to use. It's basically what I get every Friday morning.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah.
There you go, stay ahead of the field. Download the app for free. Pat, have a wonderful time at Kelso. I know you usually go out for dinner afterwards as well, don't you? You're set fair for a cracking day.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So really looking forward to it. And the weather should be fine. I think it's cloudy and sunny spells, so I might have to wear an overcoat, but it'll be nice and dry anyway.
All right, will we see a Grand National winner? Will we see a bonus hunter heading to Cheltenham afterwards? For myself, Dave Orton, enjoy the sport.